Yo, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about what is the best chapter in Fortnite. Now, first off, we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, which as we know, it's probably one of the best chapters we have gotten, if not the best, with the biggest reason being how not only was it the start of Fortnite Battle Royale, but it was regularly updated. For example, we got LTMs weekly, with new LTMs staying a bit longer than old LTMs, and Chapter 1 out of all the chapters has the most LTMs by far. Because as we know, after around Chapter 2 Season 2, we started to get less LTMs because of creative. But that doesn't change the fact we got so many LTMs in Chapter 1. Such as Floor is Lava, Unvaulted, Slide, and many more. This is one of the big reasons I think Chapter 1 is one of the best, as we got so many updates which showed how Epic Games really cared about the game and they wanted it to succeed. Aside from Epic Games adding LTMs, they also added new guns and items for the player base to try out, which made players come back to the game to try these new items out. For example, we got items such as the Porter Fort and Drum Gun, which were fan favourites at the time because of how much fun you could have with these items. And another reason I think Fortnite Chapter 1 was so good was because Epic Games regularly updated the map. Some were better than others, of course. And in my opinion, I think this chapter had some of the best map updates in the game, with POIs such as Paradise Palms and Tilted Towers being released in this chapter, but this came at the cost of some places that people would visit, such as the prison and what I call containers, sadly being removed, which were two of my favourite places to land at the time. Fortnite also had some of the most iconic and fan favourite skins come out in this chapter, with skins such as Bright Bomber, Drift, the football skins, Fish Stick, Peely, and a lot more fan favourite skins coming out in this chapter. And in my opinion, I think that Chapter 1 had the best skins out of all the chapters, but that could just be nostalgia talking. Another thing about Chapter 1 were the battle passes, which did not fail to disappoint, with Chapter 1 having the best themed battle passes, such as the night theme in Season 2, the space theme in Season 3, and other themes such as the winter theme in Season 7. Now, in my opinion, Chapter 1 had some of the best battle passes, as unlike recent chapters, Chapter 1 had themed battle passes, which we started to lose after Chapter 3, which I'll talk about later on. Now that I said the positives about Chapter 1, let me say some of the negatives about the chapter. Some of these being the loot pool in later seasons, such as Season 9, which was the last season I played in Chapter 1 because of them removing some of the items we got so used to playing with the most popular and most iconic gun in the game, you could argue, being the pump, which was replaced with the combat shotgun, which played similar to the tactical, with the only difference being it is a lot more accurate, but the tactical shotgun was a lot better close range because of the combat's damage output being very bad close range. At the time, the shotgun was very hated because it replaced probably the best shotgun we have ever gotten in the game, but through the chapters, it started to be loved a lot more. And with the recent chapter coming out, it's probably the only good shotgun we have in the game. Moving on to Chapter 2, I can't say much about it as I only played the first few seasons, but that doesn't say what I did play wasn't good. In fact, it was the complete opposite, as Chapter 2 had some amazing events such as the Travis Scott concert and some very good collabs such as the Star Wars skins, which had Kylo Ren, Imperial Stormtrooper and others. And it also had other collabs like the Icon skin Ninja, which was a big deal at the time. The LTMs, however, started to decline, but that doesn't mean other things in the game declined as well, as we got items such as the Bandage Bazooka and Fish, which created new metas in the game, and the loot pool was actually pretty decent for most of this chapter, with some questionable guns coming out during the Primal season. Moving on to the Battle Pass, the Battle Passes were actually amazing in my opinion, and sadly I didn't get many as I stopped in Season 2, and I didn't even finish the Battle Pass that season, but that Battle Pass was amazing, and I just wish I got Midas, as it was such a unique skin at the time. Other Battle Passes such as the Marvel Battle Pass, which I wish I got, as it was such an awesome Battle Pass with some cool ideas with gliders, as well as some unique superstars. But the Battle Passes later on in this chapter start to show what has become a recurring theme, which is collabs as the Tier 100, which wasn't too bad this chapter, but started to become annoying in the next chapter. But overall, the Battle Passes were amazing, and although the end of this chapter was basically the death of themed Battle Passes, it had some cool skins which I wish I had. Going on to Chapter 3, this is the chapter where I started to play Fortnite a lot more, like many other players, and rightly so, as it was an amazing first season. Although LTMs were basically extinct at this point, it was very fun to play modes such as Team Rumble, which was a very fun way to level up, and the loot pool was a lot better than previous season. Even though the Striker Pump and Auto Shotgun was a bit annoying to get used to at first, it had some of my favourite guns, like the MK, which was my favourite AR at the time as it felt so accurate until they nerfed it quite heavily, which is what they did with the Stinger, which is probably my favourite SMG Fortnite have ever added. Overall, the guns and the loot pool were probably my favourite out of any chapter or season. Moving on to the Battle Passes started to show what I hated, which was collabs as Tier 100. Even though the Spider-Man skin was pretty cool, it was a bit annoying as I prefer an original skin as a Tier 100 and a collab as, let's say, Tier 20 for example. Another thing that was missing in this Battle Pass was themes. The theme battle passes were nowhere to be seen in this chapter and were instead replaced with emo skins and anime skins. But overall the battle passes were decent and the superstars were quite good in this chapter. One thing that I have to say that this chapter did amazing was adding zero build. If it wasn't for zero build, I probably would have quit in season 2 of that chapter because it made the game a lot less stressful, as you don't have to worry about someone building a 12-story apartment complex every single game. But at first I didn't really like zero build, but I realised I wouldn't be able to keep up with the people in build, so like many others, I kind of just started playing zero build instead of build. Going on to the most recent chapter, chapter 4, I can't really say much about this chapter as it's only been a month, but so far this chapter's pretty good. Although all these chapters do have one thing in common, which is a good season 1. So I guess we just gotta see how the chapter ends, I guess. But so far I really like the loot pool. The Thunder Shotgun feels a lot better than the Striker Pump, but the Maven Auto Shotgun is definitely one of the worst shotguns I've ever used in this game's lifespan, with the new Excalibur rifle being an interesting gun and definitely a fun one to use that uses shotgun shells. But the other guns are really good. The Scar's probably the worst AR out of the ones we have, but that's just because of the recoil, which I'm pretty sure is only bad because of the rarity being lower, and we're used to the recoil being a lot better as it's legendary or epic, which would obviously be a lot better in previous seasons. However, the other guns like the SMGs are very good, but I see myself using the tactical pistol a lot more, which is so much more fun to use in my opinion, as it feels a lot smoother and a lot more accurate than the SMGs. But that's not me saying the SMGs are bad, because I see myself lasering people with an SMG when I do use it. The only gun I would say that I didn't like at first is probably the red-eyed assault rifle, but that's probably because I prefer a spray type of AR, like the Scar, but when I started using it, the time it took to kill someone was a lot quicker, and I can see this gun being a lot better on console with aim assist, so I do recommend it. Going on to battle passes, however, I would say it's a lot better than Chapter 4, as they did finally make the Tier 100 an original skin, and make the Tier 20 the collab, which is how it should be. My only complaint about the Battle Pass is the fact there's still an anime skin, which at first was fine, but it's just getting boring getting the same thing in every single Battle Pass. And then we also have the same edgy or emo skin, with this one being Halsey, which isn't as bad as previous chapters' Meow Skulls, but it's still pretty bad. Overall, all of these chapters are very fun to play, with them all having different loot pools and mechanics, but I just have to give Chapter 1 the win on this. Now, you could say it's for nostalgia reasons, but I wouldn't say it's the case, because this chapter just had so many updates and new items coming into the game, which showed Epic Games cared, whereas later on in Epic Games don't really show the consistency they used to. For example, LTMs, which they've basically ditched at this point. This isn't me saying all the other chapters suck, however, as Chapter 2 is definitely a close second and would probably be first if it wasn't for the downfall of it, as I feel like this chapter had its ups and downs, as Season 2 was probably the best season we've ever got, and then was replaced with Season 3, which we know wasn't the best. And the map changes as well weren't the best out of all the chapters we've had. Then there's Chapter 3, which I would say is the third best chapter we've got. But that's only because I think it's too early to say if Chapter 4's better than Chapter 3, which is why I put Chapter 3 higher than Chapter 4. But yeah, Chapter 3 I felt like Season 1 was amazing, and then after Zero Build, it just went downhill and wasn't very fun to play. But then again, we only had 4 seasons that chapter. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below what your favourite chapter is, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. See ya!